Hi there guys, welcome back. Just going to do a video on how I made some stuff for some of my figures, and I thought I'd start with this array. The Pikesmen at Helm's Deep with their banners, and all this is just a paintbrush which I've painted with acrylic paint. I find the brushes fit best in their hands, so that's why I use that really. Just use lots of references for the banner itself to get the thread on there, that's all that is. And just use some old material there, really thin sort of cloth, and stained it with ink because it gives that really tarnished sort of look, and then painted it with the acrylic there, again using references on how it looked in the film. Just distressed it a little bit there, and that's all that is really. Helm's Deep shield. This is cardboard that I scored and cut and then painted with acrylic. Trying to give that really thick paint on there, really thick appliance, so it gives it a real tarnished look again, but also makes the shield look even thicker. Again painted that with the acrylic using the references, and then I've just glued a bit of cardboard on the back there to go around his hand, and I've just scored it again on the points there to make it look like it was the metal itself that they have. Again, this is, you know, a shield from I think Cirith Ungol Uruk-hai, painted over the eye there, and then use reference again for the hand with the acrylic paint. Again, just used references to get the right shape, mould it, paint it with acrylic. Some bits need a bit of repair there, but it's no biggie really. But the thing is to remember with the masking tape is that although it's brilliant because it gives that there, like the sort of, you know, it looks right for the scale of the figure, sometimes it doesn't stick down very well, but the acrylic paint works brilliantly for that. It just basically dries like plastic and acts also as a glue, so it seals it all in there, and you get minor little bits like that there, but nothing too major really. The belts and quivers, just take you through how I've done those and using different techniques. This one is, well, it's basically it's just a bit of old lace, which happens to be flat, so all that is some jewellery like the chains or paper clips, whatever you want to use, and I've just folded that, bended it using pliers, and put it actually into the belt itself, so it forms like a buckle, so that you can loop this round it. And then the quiver itself, that's just 2 pieces of plastic. I just use masking tape to bond them together really, and then painted with acrylic again. You can just see where the original joins were, but it works pretty effectively for the Scout Uruk-hais with their quivers. But I use exactly the same technique for the sword scabbards that I make as well, which are just basically 2 pieces of plastic, well, flat pieces usually with a slight edge, and then join them together, and I suppose this is a bit of a magnified version of what that looks like really. Staple that to the base there. So basically what I did is, you know, folded the masking tape into the shape and thickness for the belt, so I had a full good length of that, painted it with the acrylic first, and then folded another piece thicker and used that as the belt and cut around it and things like that, and then used another layer underneath and stuck that underneath that, then put it onto the figure itself, scored it there so it can be the loops of where the belt would thread through, and obviously thread through the belt, and the masking tape on there, and painting it with acrylic again for the sleeves. Just use references all the time, and just keep an eye out for materials that you think would be good for the scale of the model. I use masking tape and plasticine and things like that a lot. Ooh, the swords. This again is that plastic packaging again, which I'll show you an example of in a minute. Just a nice thick piece of plastic from some packaging painted with acrylic. In some cases I'd scratch into it to give that rough effect, and then when I'm painting it I try and give a smooth brush stroke on the blade edge, and then a rough brush stroke on the unsharpened edge. You can sort of see it. So this is the one that works the best. Just wrapping masking tape around there again and again to form the handle, painting it with acrylic. And again, this is just the edge of some packaging again that I've just cut, and that forms the dagger of the Uruk-hai. Have a go at doing the arrows as well, and all that is really thin tissue paper, like artists' sugar paper, tissue paper sort of thing. And again, just using references, cut that into shape. And then had the long edges, these edges up against the shaft there, glued on there, and then painted over it with, actually no, I don't think that's paint, I think I used some felt tip pen, which was close to the colour of the original arrow, and that can form the quiver, the feathers on the arrow. This one's still a bit of a work in progress, but it is the Gondorian Knight Spear. So again, using references, I've just cut into that using a blade. I've still yet to go over that with some glue or something shiny like that to give the real nice gloss effect. Just file down some of these jagged pieces here and then paint over it with a nice silver paint. And all that was I think it was an old stick that I'd had lying around, but you could use a paintbrush, anything you like really. The Pikesman at Helm's Deep. This is another one that needs a repair, but it's no major thing really. Again, you can see the packaging, plastic packaging. Found the edge of the packaging now. I'll show you what I mean by the edge in a minute. Painted it with acrylic. I've just done a little brief repair with some sellotape on there, but I end up remaking this end piece here, and what it does, it just slots into the end of a paintbrush there, which is prized together at the end there, and there you can see the rest of the paintbrush there, wooden handled, didn't have to file it down or anything. And there you can see where it slots into the next paintbrush. So I just opened it out slightly. Sorry. Yeah. And there's the rest of the paintbrush there. Again, they're perfect thickness for the hand of the figure, so I don't have to file it down or anything. And using references to get the right length and the height. This one is metal this time, so I'm actually grinding into the end here to give the spear end there, the blade end I suppose. And I've wrapped around it, I'll show you down here, I've wrapped around it with masking tape and then gone over it with like a dry brush. The flag is actually a real thin sort of artist tissue paper here really, but it's good because it's so light, it'll flow and sit on the figure how it would if it was to real scale. And I've used pen, crayons and paint to do the tree of Gondor, and also the details on the ends of the flag here. So you can see where I've painted the edges with the acrylic there, and just put some masking tape on there just to strengthen it up there when it finally wraps around the spear there. There's your masking tape, just any standard masking tape. Like I said, it doesn't stick sometimes as well as you would like to, which is where the acrylic paint comes in, and just mix the paint to get the right colour that you want. But you know, this acrylic paint, it just dries like plastic. It's brilliant, and you can bend it obviously afterwards, as you saw earlier with the belt, and it won't peel off or crack too easily. Plasticine, this one's got lots of different colours in there, but it's brilliant because it's so soft, malleable. You just heat it up a little bit between your fingers and you can shape it to any way you want to. That, like I said before, I use for the helmet. It's good because you can just shape it to whatever mould you want, really. This is just some blue roll, which I looked at and thought that'd be brilliant for a flag or something like that. You can make it even thinner there. You could paint it, or you could stain it with ink. I'll probably stain that with ink because it would bond to it better. Some old brushes there, but if you didn't have old brushes, I've got, you know, the actual spears there that came with the figures themselves. You could join them together, paint it if you wanted, depends how precious you are about it. I'll probably tend to use one more like that, that's a lot thinner. Probably use an old one like this one here, that's the glue's dried on there. I'll take off the hair there, and then you'll have, like I showed you before, where you can extend it to slot another paintbrush in the end. So this is just an example of the plastic that I've used on the swords and the quivers that I was showing you earlier. This is similar to the packaging that I would probably use to do that. You can see the edges here, where you would have had that would form perfectly the corner of and the sides of the quiver there. I'll just do the same on the other side, cut a little square out there, cut a square out there, join the two pieces together, and then you'd have that there basically. You can see some of these edges here are brilliant if you want to do a stitched sort of look. And again, just paint over with acrylic. References are the most important. The extended edition of the Lord of the Rings. So I got a lot of my references from there, because obviously the characters are in their costumes. You can see what sort of size things should be, colours, proportions, all that sort of thing. But this by far is the best reference for me. This is the Lord of the Rings Weapons and Warfare. You can pick this up on Amazon or eBay at the moment, quite cheap. Some examples of some of the other figures with some of the other techniques I've used. This is the masking tape, painted over it with acrylic to seal it in there. Make sure it's the same colour as the cloak. Used again for the Citadel Guard. You can see the masking tape. Arrow in there. I'd also put a bit of plasticine in the bottom of the quiver there, just so the arrow sits just above his, the feathers go just above his head. The Uruk-hai, I've used acrylic paint there on this one, and I've used watercolour paint on this one here. Comes off easily enough, even the acrylic one, but yeah, gives a good effect.